Hey, how's
Hello,
it going?
Christie. Woo! We had just enough time for me to do what I needed to do. So how are you
There we
today?
go.
We're gonna start it off real quick with you
Well, I'm
telling
doing.
do me a quick how you doing?
My name is Christie Shinn. I am the basically owner of Horror Tourist Studios, and I do a comic called B1tch. And if you
Yes.
have not read B1tch, it's about a low-level demon from the 13th pit of hell, where people throw their dog shit in gum wrappers. And she wants to bring the second of coming of Armageddon, but she's stupid. So there you go.
I have this queued because I took this from your page. It's almost verbatim what you just said. I love it. This is only part of your bio on the Horror Tour. Or I mean, this might be on the B1tch page. But I love this. I just love this.
Yeah.
And I thought I had the other little comment in there about like I can't remember. Anyway, but how was your day today? Like, how was your day today, Christy? Real quick.
Well, it's interesting. My day's actually pretty calm.
Okay.
Although it is kind of funny because my internet actually crapped out and I'm being invaded by my black cat. Say, Ink, say hi.
Kitty.
She's got a
Yep,
skull butthole and she's a pain in the ass sometimes. Yeah.
we do have a few people watching, and I'm gonna throw up the banner just so we have it at the bottom, so people know where to find
Nice.
it. Yeah, there we go. So let's just okay. Wait, let me check on time. Okay, I'm sorry. Were you finished giving me your lowdown of Christie's day?
Oh, well, essentially right now, I get to think on my toes because apparently my internet just died at my house. So luckily we have cell phones, right? I'm on the 5G network, so I think something weird's going to happen to me then.
Well, it's funny. When the intro video was playing, I put a big old chunk of licorice in my mouth, and I'm like, finally done chewing it. Okay.
Oh, God. You're like,
I know. I'm like, can you talk for a minute while I'm finishing this licorice? Just kidding. Okay.
sure, that's fine. You know, I just like go, oh, yeah.
So the first part of our show, what we do is I call it spit lighting. It's basically my version of spitballing, where we're just going to do some warm-up questions so that people can get to know Christy. Things that you may not normally get asked. They may not normally be the kind of things you'd get asked in an interview. So, for example, we're going to start with this one. No matter what your day is like, no matter what your world's like, what always makes you smile?
I would say show my cat's skull butthole online. That's one of them because it shocks people and makes them upset. Actually, no, it makes them laugh. I mean, they go like, what the hell? And I say, yes, her butthole is the thing of evil. Another one is that I'll just be drawing B1tch or anything else. And, you know, sleeping is good too, as well as eating great. So like, there you go right there. So it's like actually my days have always been really good overall if I got those things. But then also like if the only time I ever really have a shitty day is that there's more bad things that happen that aren't fixed or superseded by the good things. But that's pretty rare. Like just sometimes I'll be pissed off about something, but that doesn't ruin my day.
Right? And your kitty cat, you have this, how many cats do you have? 1, 2, how many?
2. This is Ink right here. The ginger is named Span. He's somewhere around here. He'll probably make his entrance at some point.
Well, I clearly knew you had cats because when you are on your lunch hour, oftentimes people watching, your audience members will ask, how are the cats? So, okay. So
yeah, like I have quite a few fans that say, how are the cats?
Right. Well, yeah, we want to know. I mean, I don't have any pets, but I love seeing other people's animals. Okay. So the next question I'm going to ask you is, hello. Oh, I guess what on earth did I just do? It just hid the banner I did not want to hide, and it didn't show the banner I want to show. That's okay. I got this. Let me go back in here.
It's okay. It's been kind of a weird, like last few minutes when we came on. Remember how we did the right thing and I logged in early and then all of a sudden my internet died. I'm like, well, we'll have to do this another way.
Oh, I know what my problem is. I gotta remember. So Christy, if you look at the bottom, I accidentally made this a ticker question instead of a question banner. It says, what was your favorite toy as a child and why? That's what it did. It's putting it
Well,
at the
I alternated between I alternated between Transformers and My Little Pony, and they were both made by Hasbro. So we also like shipped them together and all that shit as a kid, even before shipping was even a thing, if that actually dates me. And what else was it? It was actually pretty much whatever it is. I mean, I kind of just, I liked, I didn't really like Barbie, but I liked the weird toys too. So yeah, we had the Garfield, like pasta game and things like that.
Barbie, my sister's Barbie dolls were my torture toys. Like I tortured those toys. The things I did with Barbie doll girls.
I have to admit, I kind of did that too. Like with my sister, we also did like Gumby and Pokey. That was kind of fun, and I would kind of periodically bury it in the yard or whatever.
Well, my younger brother
like play archaeologist.
What? Play what?
Oh, I would play like archaeology. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag, but
archaeology.
There's archaeology. Like we would just like dig a mud pit, and bury Gumby and Pokey, and then come the next day and say, "Oh, I'm going to dig them back up again."
So my brother had GI Joe toys, GI Joe dolls or whatever, and I would play those with him. And those GI Joe dolls did not treat the Barbie dolls very well.
Well, we all wanted it. Us girls really, actually, when we watched G.I. Joe, we were thinking of being the Baroness, right? It was either Scarlet or the Baroness or Lady J. It was like, those are the bitches that we wanted to be.
I wanted to be anyone who was badass, And I have to tell you, I meant to say this before we jumped in here, but when I probably the very first lunch hour I ever sat in with you and watched you create during lunch, I was just enamored, in awe, because it is extremely rare to meet anyone who is as willing to be as authentic as you are. It's very rare. And I really, really, really love that. And I have got to delete this stupid ticker banner thing because it keeps messing me up when I want to click on the banners. Okay. So the next one I have in here.
It's okay.
Is what is your go-to treat when you go to the movies? What's your must?
You know what? I like cookie dough ice cream. That's my shit right there. I like Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream. I don't know what it is, but I just like eating that shit. It's like so cool.
Don't they have that in like the little bite-sized ones too? Like the Ben & Jerry's bite-sized cookie dough bites? That sounds familiar. Like I have.
You are not hardcore once you eat that pint of that shit.
You have. That's like is that your passage to hardcore? Is that you've eaten an entire pint of that? What is that, a rite of passage?
Many times that I went there. Well, it's just like, it's so good. It's like got the vanilla ice cream with the really creamy vanilla ice cream with the cookie dough, which is sugar, but then you get those bits of chocolate and you gotta have to eat the shit out of that. Like, I'm sorry, you got to.
You got to. I know mine is popcorn. The movies,
you really have to.
You're not the same for me. I'm like, and if I don't have a lot of butter on it, forget it. We might as well not even be here.
Right? I know what you mean. It's like, it's either that or buttered popcorn. It has to be heavily salted and buttered. Yes. It has to be bad for you.
Right. Yeah, because otherwise, what's the point? Okay, so
you got to do that.
What would you say is the key to a long-lasting friendship or long-lasting friendships?
I would say honesty and loyalty.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that I have to, like, when people say honestly, you have to be honest, but you want to be honest for your friend. And are you really being honest for yourself or for your friend, or for really, are you honest to your own story? Now, this is what I mean. One of my biggest pet peeves is people say, can I be honest with you? It's like, what, you want to be mean? Is that it? Is that what you're looking for? Because usually that's a euphemism for being mean. And the thing is that I've been
Right.
friends with people that were quote unquote honest, but really they were projecting their bullshit onto you about relationships. And it's like, just fuck off about that. Like, seriously, what are you listening to me about? I listen to you about your stuff, but not about this. Okay.
Right.
And loyalty is that I've had people that try to use their friendship to go and gaslight me or do whatever. And I've seen it happen to many people. I'm not the only one.
Right.
So loyalty is like, you just know that that person's not going to do that to you. End of story.
Exactly. End of story. And I love I love that you brought up gaslighting, because that's, you know, and I have this in the queued for later, but in your world, and we're both artists, but our artistry is in different genres or different fields, kind of, in a way. Do you find that you get that gaslighting thing being a woman in the industry you're in?
Not really. I would say that if I was to be gaslit, it would be mostly by other women, you know, in friendships or whatever. And it's funny because now I have a group of women friends that are awesome, you know, but back in the day, you know, women really sabotage each other. Like, say, oh yeah, you're stupid for having this relationship. And then you look at the woman that's giving you the advice and she takes home a dude every night and screams at them and treats them like garbage.
Yeah.
So it's like, why should I listen to you? And I know that sounds so simple, but then when you really see and connect with how much they're messing up their own lives, it's not a good thing. You know, it can't be, it's not just women. It's about some guys too. I mean, I've dealt with some really, I would say mostly it's terrible advice from people that really don't know shit, to be honest.
The few times I mean, I 100% have had the same experiences with other women, and it's really amazing to me. And this is one of my biggest pet peeves. And I don't know if this has ever happened to you, where I'll have a female friend or so-called female friend, and literally pay zero attention to me, zero, like no interest in me as a person, until there is a man on the horizon in my life. And if that man somehow comes into my world, because I rarely date, and that's when those women, there's a certain group of those women, and they'll come out of the woodwork. They come out of nowhere. And I'm like, this is the least interesting thing I could ever have shared today, is who I might be dating right now. That is the least interesting thing about me. But that's what they'll come at me about. That's what they'll comment on. I don't know if you've had that, but okay. So, I'm sorry. Before I throw up the next question, anything else you want to add to that? Okay. So then
really, those are the two things: is honesty and loyalty.
Yeah, I wish I had it in my thing, but there's a quote. One of my favorite comedians that inspired me to be a comedian was Jerry Lewis. I loved Jerry Lewis when I was a little girl. He was one of my favorite comics. But he has a quote about loyalty that I love, and it goes to, you know, he would trust a handshake with a loyal friend over even a contract, because he's like, trust me, I can get a lawyer to break that contract, but my loyalty, my word, that is a whole different story. And I'm paraphrasing his quote big time. I don't know it by heart. But it hits it, and he nails it in that. And I'll have to find it. I'll have to send it to you. So you can pass on this if you want. But the next question is, who was the first person you kissed, and how did that happen? She's like, asking me this.
Well, I mean, I was 14. I kissed a guy. It was in high school. I kind of liked him and I went with him, but it wasn't like really, like, I think he was more adult than me and he kind of wanted to do things. And I was like, no. And I mean, hello ladies. Hey Pops, how's it going?
Pops says hi.
So, yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I expected this like really wonderful, like kiss, and it was magical. And he just went on my mouth. And I'm like, really?
Really?
Really? Okay.
Oh.
I mean, as you get older, your hormones kick in more, but I didn't date him for very long.
Well, I would imagine, I don't know, I would imagine you would then get to at least you got to know what you don't want it to be like.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad or anything. It was just kind of like,
Right.
oh, all right, okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna need a little more than that, fella. And then we also have Colmation watching on Twitch. Hey, one of my followers on Twitch,
Hey,
and
Colmation.
is there. So that actually rounds up and finishes up our spitballing spit lights, and so then I'm going to head over to what I call rapid fire words. And basically what these are, Christie, is they're words that I just thought of when I was musing with you in my mind and thinking, what words could I throw at Christie and get her opinion on? And so I'm going to throw it up on the screen, and you just throw out whatever the word gets from you, whatever it is. Like give me the verbal form of what you would draw. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. Douchebag.
There's a couple of people that have contacted me that are douchebags. There's also some other people that I consider douchebags, but usually douchebags, I think of a bag full of kind of shit or something, or some horrible effluvia. And, it's just, that's the impression that person gives you. That's like, oh yeah, douchebag. Like you have shithead and douchebag, but shithead and douchebag aren't the same thing necessarily. It's what the word makes you feel. So it's like it's not even a sack of shit, because then you'd be a sack of shit. But I would say sack of like some sort of effluvia, like, douchebag. It's like it's kind of like calling a person a butthole versus an asshole. A butthole is kind of an asshole in training, but they haven't matured to asshole. So yeah. So douchebag is just like, yeah, it's just douchey is just more than a feeling. It's weird. I'm trying to think of somebody that would be like a douchebag that would be in comics or something. Like I'm talking about a character. Like I think probably, okay, Rick and Morty, okay, Rick Sanchez, right? He can either be both a douchebag or an asshole. He has two modes, or one of many modes of shitty, but that's one of them, douchebag. He's like, oh yeah, whatever, I don't care.
Is he the grandpa or the dad?
He's the grandpa. He's the grandpa. Jerry is the father.
I've never really, my ex-boyfriend tried to get me to watch Rick and Morty like every chance he could get, and I was like, yeah, not my thing.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea, but he did talk me into watching Jackass, and those
Jackass was fun.
It's in a way those guys actually, I wouldn't call any of them a douchebag, but they make what douchebag looks like and sounds like, the way you're describing it. Like they do that on purpose. Like the guys on my point is the guys on Jackass are like, they go out of their way to be douchey. Like on purpose, like it's their thing, like that's their.
I think if they're pranking people, like if they're pranking random people, one of the Jackass movies was that he took a shit in the toilet in the hardware store, right? Yeah, yes. So that's kind of a pretty douchey thing to do. Or
that's a good point. You're right.
Yeah.
A lot of I think there's also the one where he pretends to be super old and he's wearing a disguise and he's making out with a young girl who's calling him grandpa.
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty douchebag. Okay, so the next word, and I hope I spelled this right, is patriarchy.
Patriarchy. Okay.
Did I spell that right?
Yeah, I think it looks right. Yeah. I think of dad. I think of stuff that a lot of feminists just say that they don't really get. I know people go like, what do you mean by that? It's like you just say it. It's like if they just say it as a word, like your shoes are untied. Oh, patriarchy. I don't like you as a person. Patriarchy. And it's like, okay. I mean, I know intellectually what that word is, but it's been used so much and so many times. It's getting tired. Like sometimes I just don't want to hear a goddamn word anymore, because it's just people oversay it all the time, and it's like, oh my god, like toxic. Like I'm getting really tired of hearing toxic.
Yeah.
This is toxic. That is toxic. Like,
yeah, like they don't know how else to describe it, and so that's what they just use because they have no other words. They have no other words to articulate anything.
Well, and also I think it's one of those words to be passive aggressive about. It's weird. I mean, there are things that are indeed toxic, but if they say toxic so much, but then they act like a nutty asshole, it's like, well, no wonder why you think of everybody as toxic, because they can't stand your shit or they're trying to figure yourself out.
Right.
So it's like, for me, I'm just kind of like, toxic is another word I fucking hate.
Mhm.
I'm beginning to hate it because of that thing. I mean, some people say, I hate the word moist. I said, no, I'm beginning to hate the word toxic, because you have people that just want to spout it. And then they say, oh, I'm a a woman that screams patriarchy is a feminist. It's like, no, you're not. You just fucking bitch all the time. There's a difference.
Well, and bitching is one thing, and it's funny because one of my stand-up jokes is about complaining, and I'm like, hey, guess what? When you're bitching and complaining, just so you know, that's bitching and complaining. Because like people will bitch and complain about people bitching and complaining, not realizing that they're bitching and complaining.
Or they're really just talking about, I mean, I get it. It's just like, also they'll talk about really stupid shit all the time. And it's like,
right?
seriously, how did you not get an aneurysm at this point? Because your blood pressure must be so high, and you're what, 26? And yet you're really upset about every fucking thing on the planet. It's like, oh my God, but I have anxiety. If I hear the word anxiety, I'm going to just fucking scream too.
That's another
I
one.
have anxiety.
You're not even kidding on that one.
Oh,
I will I legitimately know that I will have anxiety when I'm in a crowd of a lot of people. But that's pretty much the only time I know I really have to deal with that. So the next word I have for you is cocky.
Cocky? Oh God, I think of Banny Rooster when I think of cocky. Have you ever? I'm not that familiar with chicken breeds, but apparently it's a term that you use to explain, like, a Banny Rooster is like a bantam. Okay, the bantam version of chickens, I guess. They're like half the size to a quarter of regular chickens. And they lay eggs and stuff. They're known as, like, there's buff Orpingtons and stuff. As I said, I'm not a farmer, but I knew the term Banny Rooster, and that's the slang for bantam rooster, And there's a bantam hen. And Banny Roosters are basically loud, and they're 4 times as loud and obnoxious and annoying as possible. So, yeah, that's pretty bad. And I can't think of what to do other than that. It's just basically cocky would be a little Banny Rooster clucking and screaming and all that. And you're like, and then what's funny is that when that person acts like a Banny Rooster, you can say 1 or 2 phrases and then they'll actually shut up because you just disturbed them and broke their mind.
Don't you love that? Do you ever say?
Oh, it's funny.
Do you ever just go out of your way to say something to shock someone?
Well, only if they deserve it, personally. If they're being ridiculous, they're saying a bunch of ridiculous shit, and I'm just saying to them, hey, I just said to them, oh, look, Banny Rooster, you're being a Banny Rooster. Like, I'm trying to remember what's one. Okay, one guy I knew, he was going on about the Irish, and he was saying like a rude iteration of that name, of that type. And then he then talked about a cousin of his that did stupid things, very vastly stupid things. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, you said he was Irish, right? And he says, yeah. And I said, and he's related to you, right? Yeah. And then I said, doesn't that make you one? He's like, no, that's his mom. Like, I mean, I've had people ask me stuff out of, like, context, and
you're all
like, okay, I'll go full on weird.
That's just, I love that because I think what you just described is how we can often point out someone's hypocrisy.
Yeah, like, your logic pattern does not allocate for this line of reasoning, right? So you have this line of reasoning, and therefore you kind of sound funny when you say that, to say the least.
Right? Okay, so that sums up the rapid fire words that I had for you. And I am going to add this, pause it, of course, because I am going to, this is artwork, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the hive. Because I noticed, and I, of course, and you, of course, know that you do exhibitions and have your work shown. And so I have this on there for us to be able to,
refer to, yeah.
Yeah. So you have stuff there now, right?
Yeah, it's not the same exhibit. This exhibit actually concluded. I actually have another painting up right now at their current exhibition right now. I won't be exhibiting, I think, next month, But at the Hive, I have a permanent resident artist wall. So they're welcome to check it out. And they're welcome to buy the paintings as they see fit. Or they can talk to me because I have other paintings for sale here. Like the ones that are seen here, they are also available on sale.
I had to put this picture in while you were talking
Jesus.
about I love this, you know. I just love it. I love this picture. I love everything about it. She's
Thank
like,
you.
I'm just saying, you know, I like, you know, your art is what I want to talk about, but you're still,
Sure.
you know. Okay, so then I've got we you already mentioned this earlier. You mentioned who I don't think we can read. That's crazy. Why can't we read it? Oh well. So you already said this. This is from your page. It's about Demon Bitch, and I wanted to give you the opportunity. And you've already kind of done this, but you know we're a little bit further along. Why don't you tell everyone who's watching or who may watch later who Demon Bitch is, where that came from, where the concept came from, what that's about?
Well, okay. So she's a low-level demon from the 13th pit of hell, where people throw their dog shit at gum wrappers. And she wants to bring the second coming of Armageddon, but the first one never happened because she's stupid. So she gets distracted by promiscuous sex and hard drugs, even though she's trying to make this hell on army, you know, and she's trying to say, I'm going to bring the second coming of Armageddon, but she's just a fucking lazy piece of shit who constantly does drugs, basically does the host real badly for her pimp, and she just basically does everything possible to get attention, including hashtags. Like the most recent cartoon I had was of her pissing on the wall like a dude, and it just basically says that I'm representing pride. It's like, and I just smoke crack.
Yes,
my God.
I don't have that one queued, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, my point is that it wasn't about pride itself, but it's like, I think we've kind of advanced enough as a society that we can pick and choose who we want. Like, we don't need to have absolute pieces of shit representing the community. I'm not gay myself, or any community or any group of people. Just don't use anybody. I mean, it's like, as I said, I mean, people go like, on the other hand, they'll be hyperbolic and like, oh, you want gatekeeping. I said, I don't mean absolute and total gatekeeping. I'm just talking about keeping the pieces of shit out of there because they ruin it for everybody else. Where it is from furries to gays and for women or whatever job, whatever person, it's just, you're going to have that person that is those things, but they're total asshole, and just they should never ever represent your community because they're a terrible person.
Yeah, I've had conversations with people similar to what you're describing. So there's I mean endless choices of Demon Bitch comics to choose from, to find or to talk to you about. I had to put this one in here because I have a stand-up comedy joke about how I'm probably not really in love with the guy until I'm about ready to get a restraining order. Like, so I mean, like, it's next to impossible to get my attention. For a man to get my attention, it's next to impossible. And for them to do that, it's gotta be to that fucking degree. Excuse my French. I'm gonna just use the F word, because when I saw this one, I don't know if that's what this particular strip is about, but I had to share it, and I had to get your, like, tell me about this one particularly, because I see it, and that's what I'm like, this one's for me. This one's me. Like, this one is all me.
Oh, well, I mean, I've been harassed before, and I've had people talk to the guys that are harassing me, and I've dealt with it, you know. Unfortunately, I think if you live on this planet, you will just have people that will just not understand the word no, or to fuck off sometimes, or to really listen to what you have to say. Now, that being said, it was just kind of a joke because I knew this. I just saw somebody, like, this person had tried to really intrude upon this couple's relationship. It was not a secret that they were dating, you know, the guy and his girlfriend, but she would try to go in and say, oh, that's my man, and everything else, and always try to, like, follow him in a creepy way.
Right.
I mean, this person had a history of doing that, and she would be very inappropriately creeping up on people's boyfriends and girlfriends, and it's like, dude, like, you do know they're together, right? Don't try this shit. Like, if you have a thing about them, that's one thing, but feelings are feelings, whatever, but you can't. There's a way to go about it where you're not a fucking pathetic piece of shit. And there are sometimes when guys do the thing, not necessarily to other women, but just in general, like about business or whatever, and they just do a bunch of stupid shit, which ends them getting a restraining order, well, that's fucking stupid of you to do. So it's kind of, but it's like this weird sort of crazy dichotomy of like, if you put a restraining order on somebody because they can't get to you, they like kind of freak out and want to do it more. Some people. I'm not saying that don't ever do a restraining order if you need to. I'm just saying that there's sometimes you're just like, what the fuck is that? You know, like, did you like, what degree do you understand that this person doesn't want to be around you?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this person's mine and they should be with me. It's like, okay, but you should go about it different. I don't think harassing them is the way to do it.
No.
I've noticed that if you harass somebody more about a thing that they're not sure of or they don't want to do, the more walls they put up. It's like, please don't do that. Like, you can convince them, you can talk to them at the right time. But seriously, sometimes just leaving it alone, it works better in volumes.
Yeah.
Because people will tune out if you've nagged so much. And I think that restraining order, I mean, basically acting in a way, for the most part, that is like a restraining order is like akin to the energy of nagging. It's just, it's constant, it's annoying. It's just, at the very least, it can be freaky for people. I've been there, you know, myself, where I've been harassed like that.
I definitely,
you know, it's just so like, it's desperate and it's not, yeah.
Yeah, I am so relieved based on what you just said that I am not, this does not represent me, because I guess I was kind of getting at it more for me, like more from the level of interest I have to even for someone to get my attention. Because like I said before, I couldn't care less about men or dating. I really couldn't. So if anyone gets my attention, it would have to be something out of the ordinary to take me like to a place of crazy. And that's extremely rare. It's very rare for me. Okay. So then I, of course, wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about the tarot deck you're working on, because I've gotten the pleasure and the honor of getting to watch you create a lot of those.
Yeah. With the tarot deck, I think the tarot deck's pretty good. I mean, it's weird because it's like I draw it and people say, oh, isn't that you? I said, I guess it is me. You know, I draw stuff and, you know, maybe it's an introspective look into what I do or the dark things I do. But I don't know. It's just images that pop up in my head and it follows a certain theme. If you notice, the color schemes are never really, you know, deviate. There's a certain set color palette. I meant to do that. And just to see how it is on that level. Like, I guess people would say, well, why don't you go and do full color? And like, you know, I kind of would probably want to do it for a chunk of the deck, but I don't really feel like doing that.
Do you get bugged by questions like that? I mean, I do.
I really don't, to be honest. I just kind of like, I kind of think about doing that, but at the same time, it was like, I kind of do it, but I don't. I guess I kind of welcome it as a person to pick my brain about things.
Well, and I
don't find it overtly rude. Yeah. I
think that at least maybe once during one of your broadcasts, I mentioned this, but one of the things that is, I'm learning to figure out how to navigate through this, but one of the reasons why I would not show things that I was working on until they were done was because I didn't want to hear shit like that. And I think I mentioned that to you. I can't remember. Because the oil painting that I'm doing that you've seen, you were the first person to see it. And the first person,
thank you.
Right? And before that day, when I started it when I was watching you. I started it when I was at lunch with you. And I have continued to work on it or work on other pieces when I'm at lunch with Christie. I have lunch with Christie. Like that's that's like what I do.
Even though I don't eat.
Well, and it literally opened not a Pandora's box, but Christie, and I apologize if I haven't made this clear or said this enough, but I've been going live and I've been showing my work and I've been showing in process pieces, and I did not do that before you came into my life. I just did not. I did not do that because of what you were just talking about. I fucking hate, excuse my French, people coming at me and talking about, oh, you should leave it in sketch form. You should leave it in black and white. Why do you go so dark? Why? And I'm like, shh. So.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the thing is that when you get into art, you have to learn how to tune that out to a point both ways.
Right.
You know, I think you show it whenever you want to show it. You want to show the piece whenever you want to, and sometimes you don't. Like, not all the cards do I draw online, you know. Sometimes I draw them in private, things like that. So personally, I think it's just a judgment call on you. And whatever advice you want to follow, that's a judgment call on you. I think people forget a lot of the times on the internet that a lot of this stuff is on their call and they have more power than they actually have.
Right.
But they get swept up of a person saying stupid, shitty things to them, to advice, which could be very well intentioned, but it's like, you know, dude, it's my piece. I mean, I've had other ones where a guy got mad at me because he said, oh, hey, like when I put up a piece of artwork, he said, oh, hey, you should change this, this, and this. And I just told him, you know, thanks, but I wasn't asking for any help. And he got so mad at me, and that was almost comical. Like, he was just sputtering and being angry, like, oh my God, how rude you are, blah, blah, blah. And he had a YouTube channel that was like all of 2 people fucking watch that shit. And I'm like, okay, look, buddy, I mean, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but you're telling somebody who has actually more followers than you, that must actually be a good indicator that I must know something, you know, of what I'm doing. And, you know, secondly, I didn't ask for your fucking advice, dude. Like, you're presenting it in a way that's actually extremely rude. Like, you're correcting my fucking work. Like, that's what I got kind of annoyed with the whole J. Scott Campbell thing, because this person, I mean, they're a good artist, whoever corrected it, but they were just doing it to be an asshole. There is a way to do things without looking like an asshole. All they wanted to do is swing their dick or whatever they have at this person. And it's just like, look, whether or not you like his art, I think the principle of approaching him like that was extremely rude. Right. If they said, you know, hey, J. Scott Campbell drew this, you know what? I have a different idea. Let me draw it. And this is my study, you know? Instead of saying, look at how fucking terrible he is and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, asshole, do you work in the comics industry? Number 1. Number 2, he has a following that likes his shit, okay? Number 3, has he actually done anything personal to you that would warrant you to be a rude fucking cunt? No. So lastly, 3, just remember 3, don't be a rude asshole. Like, that probably would have gone down a lot better when it did that. And people were like, and they were writing these long ass opinion pieces. And I'm just like, look, the guy was a fucking dick. Yeah. And he should have just approached it a different way. Well, and so, I mean, what J. Scott Campbell did said, hey, draw your version of Black Cat after all that. He's pretty secure in who he is doing and who he is, it seems like. And that had, I appreciated your, the things you've just said just now. And even when you were talking about it during your lunch hour shows, because that has a lot to do with it has a lot to do with one of the reasons why I coveted showing anybody anything until it was done. You know, it was kind of partly like, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to hear what anybody's feedback is. And I didn't want my creative process to be inhibited or altered. And yeah, you're right. I've had to learn. I've had over the last couple of months Mother's Day was the first time I ever went live and let anyone watch me paint. And I've done it many times since. Well, good. I mean, because the thing is, like, you have to reach a certain level of I don't give a fuck. I mean, look, if I'm getting commission for someone, okay, I'm kind of working with that person. So, like, if they say, oh, do all this, and then I do it, and then I show it to them and said, oh, well, you know, I mean, maybe we should, I kind of want more of this. And if it seems like, it could work, I'll tell them. If it doesn't look like it'll work, I'll tell them why. You know, the thing is that when people make things about commissions, I know there are bad fucking artists and bad fucking customers, okay? You will get those. But honestly, most people, like, if you just talk to them like a regular fucking person, because I've noticed some artists are like, well, I'm the artist. And then it's like, all right, you don't need to pull that dick out right now. You can just talk to the person, say, like, look, you don't like this thing. I don't like this thing. Okay, don't do the thing. You know, it's like, or, you know, I think that this would be this because my personal thing is this, this, and this, and how it's going to look. And would you consider that? Because I considered that, and I don't like that aspect of it coming out. So, you know, all you do is just talk to the fucking person. It's like, I think people are too buried and going like, I'm so anxious, I'm so this. It's like I deal with that shit every day. I also deal with like maybe dying alone once in a while or whatever, or maybe no one will love me. Okay, we all have those thoughts. And I'm not, and if people want to get at me about like, you don't care about mental, it's like, no, asshole. I actually had been depressed a lot of my life. The thing is,
Oh
and I
yeah,
have had high anxiety. The thing
for
is
sure.
that you need to work past that point. It's like, your drugs are not just your salvation, but neither is just cognitive reprogramming. Sometimes it takes a mixture of a lot of shit that works for you. Oh yeah, eating and sleeping right is actually works great. So is exercising. I remember one person, she wrote an article. It's like, if you expect people to coddle your fucking mental illness or something, you're an asshole. And she suffers from major high anxiety. And
Mm,
what she thought she could do is like just cut off appointments and cut off times and dates with people. Like, oh no, it's my anxiety. She said, look, you have to understand that your friends are human beings too, and they will only take that so much before
right.
they'll say, you know what, done. I'm not going to deal with it. And you have to be mindful. Now, here's the thing. Now, I know some people go like, oh, well, you should really consider their feelings too. I'm not responsible for your feelings. I said, okay, look, it's a middle of both. Okay. If I tell you I am voting for the big purple squid in the sky and you get upset about that with me, it's like, I'm
Right.
sorry, I'm not responsible for your feelings. I'm sorry, that's my personal decision. Or like, hey, I'm gonna get a Coke and you get mad at me for getting a Coke, right? Shit like
Mm,
that. Okay, I'm not responsible for your feelings. But if you're acting in a way that's hurtful and negligent and all you do is think about how you are. Now, in some situations, yes, that's proven if you're working with somebody else that isn't cooperating and has not reciprocated. But it's like, okay, so at this point, if it's like you're not responsible for my feelings, okay, I'll call you a dick shitting asshole. Hey, that made me mad. What the fucking point was that? It's like, hey, I'm not responsible for your feelings. So I get really annoyed by that. It's like these
yeah.
modes of absolutism that's
Right.
getting annoying. It's just like, look, I have high anxiety. Well, maybe you should go and take a break or put yourself in or use this stressful situation to manage things so that once you deal with it, you're like, hey, this isn't so bad, and challenge yourself to more and more. And then they go like, oh no, I got to stay in my bubble forever. It's like, then you're never going to do anything. It's stupid.
So this, um, I agree with you. But first of all, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And ironically, it kind of it doesn't necessarily, it's not the same, but it does lead us into the last part of this thing I have with this video. But where I love what you wrote, I love what you drew, and it says you can make the decision to fuck around or get it down. You can make the decision to be open and authentic or continue to play the games. And then I know that your next line in your post for us that love you and follow you was, you can choose between taking a leap of faith to running like a coward. It's your choice. And I dig everything about it. I dig everything about it because I think there's probably a certain point in our lives, and I can't speak for anyone else, but there was a certain point in my life where I had to just understand that anything, didn't matter what, who, the buck stops here with me. And
Yeah.
that's what those two things that you shared when you shared that. So do you want to elaborate on any of that or comment on any of that, add to it?
Well, I mean, it's like also what I don't like is people taking those to points of absolutism. Let me just preface that, right? The
Right.
thing is, sometimes like waiting and seeing how shit happens is a choice too. And I wish some people would be able to do that more with certain things. I have
Right.
people trying to rush things and do all these things. And it's like, okay, can you go and read the room and fucking see if that's a thing? Like, listen to yourself. And I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes people are kind of bad about that. Or they think if it's not solved in 5 minutes, then it's never going to happen. And it's like there are plenty of fucking things in your life that are solved, but you have to just give them the space to expand into that. I mean, I've been very mindful of that. Like sometimes people say, oh, well, you're dealing with this, so I guess it's not going to happen. It's like, oh, shut up, dude. Just because I just dealt with it 5 minutes ago. It's like, or it's supposed to happen in this timeline. It's like, according to what, you? Oh, okay. Wait a minute. What about you? Oh, what's going on in your life? Oh, wait, you have never successfully had a decent relationship that lasted over a month. I should really fucking listen to you. By the way, I'm sarcastic here. Or if it's like,
Oh,
oh
girl.
yeah, don't do that. You should be able to like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. I I am not the girl. I'm not the woman anyone should ever call, ever. if they want to know how to keep a man, keep a relationship, or stay in one. Not your girl. Not your girl. Because I promote breakups. I had a 2-day relationship just recently. 48 hours. That's all it lasted.
Oh.
And I will own that. I got no fucking apologies for it either. No, you know, and trust me, Christie, I'm not cussing at you. I'm just cussing. 0 fucks given. I got no apologies.
Cussing with me.
Yeah, I got no apologies for the fact that I am a flight risk. I am a commitment phobe. I got no interest in getting my time wasted. The second anyone even remotely seems like they're wasting my time, I will. Now, if you need to know how to tell someone to get the fuck out of your life, I'm your girl. I got you, boo. I'm the girl to call because I had no problem. I will go completely unforgivingly savage as fuck and tell someone to get out. I can do it. I got no problem. That's why I've been
keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, I'm all over that. So sorry.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of at that point now where no, it's okay. Like for me, well, for me, I mean, it's like this. Like, what level of bluntness do you want from me? It's like I'll tell you, but then when you reach me to a certain point, I will tell you in a way that you really cannot mistake it. Not like you should have been before, but you know, like get over your bullshit right now. But at the same time, I mean, like I'm willing to listen too. I mean, that's the thing. It's like sometimes, you know, I think when we talk about relationships or anything, it's negotiation. And people think, oh, well, like in business, I got everything, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? That very rarely happens. You really do have to work together in business. And you can't be sentimental about it. Now people say, oh, but what about the compassion and all this other shit? I said, look, I've heard that term bandied about so much also so easily. And it's been used to manipulate people. And it's really fucked up. I mean, the thing is, the most compassionate thing is like, okay, what do you want? What do I want? Where do we do the things? Okay, if this is what we want. And I'm not trying to say dissolve your feelings either. It actually works better in line with your feelings if you kind of think things out on a certain level.
Yeah.
It's just, that's how you honor, I guess, the quote, quote, honor yourself. And I think a lot of people just kind of go with it because it's like, I feel squirrely and and insecure. And it's getting to a point where like, okay, you need to sometimes go and say, is this really my story that I want to hold on to? No. Then this is probably not something I want to do.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that. Okay, so
yeah,
I'm going to throw these up. I can't take credit for creating these. They're actually from the Actor Studio show. But what's your greatest turn on and your biggest turn off?
Let's see. Turn on and turn off. I would say I think what I like is a person that I can talk to, you know, and I don't mean, about my feelings and stuff, but just explore things with. I like that, you know, go like, hey, let's go do something. It doesn't need to be oodles of money, but just somewhere to go and say, let's try this shit out. Let's just hang out, do this. Let's go and fucking look at a butterfly forest and blah, blah.
I like that.
You know, that's funny. But it's like, what's my turn off? It's my turn off. It's like when I get really pissed off and it's like, you know, you try to bait me into something or you say stupid shit like I'm not responsible for your feelings. I'm like, okay, look, you know, that's not okay. And it's not like a deal breaker, but it's like, that is like the most careless thing anybody could say to a point. You know, like if you're saying, I'm not really happy how you treat me. And they're like, well, I'm not responsible for your feelings. I said, okay, this is legitimate shit that I'm telling you about. I think my biggest turnoff sometimes is, you know, when a person is just really dumb. And I don't mean like, oh, they have to go and be a Rhodes Scholar. Some of them are some people who attend the most college are the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet because they're too much with their head up on their own ass. It's like, do you have curiosity? Because lack of curiosity really bothers me. Lack of self-awareness really bores me. The fact that you do the same old shit all the time, every day. I mean, it's not like if you go home, you have a habit of watching TV. That's fine.
Right.
I'm not asking for somebody to climb Mount Everest with me. But it's just, if you're just like living this small little bubble in your head and it's like, you never really think about other things like, how am I this as a person? How am I that as a person? How am I this? Like what I'm reflecting on this. Oh, this thing has been kind of bothering me or making me wonder, what is this?
Yeah.
You know, and then they kind of like search within themselves. I mean, That I think is a good thing. Searching for yourself is not the same as having your head up your ass, and I think people confuse the two.
Well, and you just made me remember, like earlier you talked about, and we were talking about this whole toxic, the word toxic, and how people use it, right? Well, I get that. I get it and I understand it. But I also think like a lot of like the other one I was getting at or thinking of, a lot of people nowadays are talking about narcissistic abuse or narcissism or dealing with the narcissist.
That's another fucking word that I'm beginning not stand.
I
the thing is,
okay. As you were talking, I was remembering that, and I'm like, oh, I want to hear what she's got to say on this one. Because that's those guys.
Here's the thing,
or girls, guys or girls. Those people, I can spot them. I can spot them from a million miles away, and I will try to stay as far away from them as possible.
Here's the thing. There is narcissistic behavior is selfish, but not every selfish person is a narcissist. I think narcissism is to a point where it's to the extreme, where everything is about you in a way where it's so attention seeking and so desperate for approval. That to me is a lot of narcissism. Okay.
Well, and you made me think of narcissism.
We all want to.
When you were talking about someone invalidating your feelings, the way they made you feel, that's what made me think of narcissism. Sorry.
I mean, to me, that's also a mark of a person being selfish too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. No, it's just it's lagging a bit behind. But for me, a narcissist would be somebody that, regardless of what you did, they're not responsive at all unless it suits their purpose. Now you can say, well, doesn't a selfish person do that? I said the selfish person does not do that to the degree of a narcissist. Like a selfish person will just be kind of like, but they can kind of break from their habit once they realize it. A narcissist is pathological. Like it will take years and maybe never for them to get it. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe never.
There's a difference between being moody and bipolar. Okay. Yeah. But there's a difference between being moody and bipolar, you know? Like, I'm not trying to diminish bipolarism at all, but it's a more pathological condition than just being moody. It really is. Like, from friends of mine that have told me about their bipolar condition, you know? Moody is different. Like, sometimes if I'm kind of feeling bitchy because I'm not feeling all right, you know, there's that.
I went ahead and threw up the next set. The next set. I'm like, favorite cuss word, least favorite cuss word.
Fuck, I think, and I say cunt a lot of the time because like quite a few people are really irritating me on certain levels. Curse word, least favorite. I don't use certain ones as much, and I can't remember them now, probably because I don't really use them. I mean, bastard is sometimes what I use, but I use asshole a lot. You know, it's just more of the usage and the extremity of which I want to label that. Like, you know, as I told you earlier, like butthole is not quite the same as asshole. It's basically asshole is like more of a deepened version of butthole or a more advanced stage of butthole.
Right.
You know, butthole is just, you're just being a little shit, whatever. There's the difference, obviously, between a bitch and a cunt. You know, bitch can be like, and by the way, when people get mad at me for saying that shit, it's funny because I call both genders bitches and cunts. They both can be. A cunt is just like a certain level of mean and nasty that I'm just like, just get off my face, you fucking cunt. You know, that's all you say. And it just, they're just kind of shocked, and it's like, oh, god damn, you are a crazy fucking cunt. Like, you stupid ass nut cunt. You know, it's like where you just have lost reason and some sort of idea of stepping back and take an idea.
Yeah.
Like any sort of semblance. That's that. Like, you're just nasty for no particular reason.
Yeah. And someone using those words rarely offends me because it's rarely, now if it's directed at me, it still will rarely offend me, because if someone has the audacity of calling me either of those words, they've just proven that they are those words. You know, like, in my opinion, if you like using the word is one thing, using cunt, using bitch, okay, no big deal. But to call someone that puts you in that category, as far as I'm concerned, you know, like it depends on the scenario. Most people that I would ever call that to would probably deserve it. Yeah. Same like you said earlier, they'd probably deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm very specific with my swear words, honestly. Like sometimes I'll call my friends dickheads, but it's because they're just being ridiculous and like, you fucking dickhead, I'm gonna kill you kind of thing. And by the way, guys, if you are gonna say that I actually threatened to kill somebody, no, it's actually a joke. I have never actually went after anybody like that. Generally, I actually walk away from a lot of shit sometimes because it's like, all right, I'm just de-escalating the situation. I've tried talking to you reasonably. I'm just gonna walk away. And if they just keep bothering me, it's like I'm gonna strike back in a way.
I just created that because I freaking love that. Like, I have to save that for posterity. I love that line. I'm very specific with my swear words.
So, when I'm all long dead and gone, I can see that, like, coming out 200 or 300 years from now, and they love it. Like,
I just love it. I'm like, that is a total Christie Shinn quote. And I kind of know the first part of the answer to this. The what activity do you love and what activity do you hate?
I really love drawing, as you probably know. I like actually walking around traveling with somebody.
Ooh.
I like, I like to also cook for people. I like to cook nice things and just kind of get my friends involved. Like, oh shit, look at this recipe, or shit, look at this. This looks fun. And what activity that I hate? Probably cleaning up the cat box. That fucking shit is awful. I wish nobody. It's not like I'm so grossed out I can't do it. It's just like, man, it's just a bitch. And even though I've gotten it down to where I'm really quick about it, cleaning out the cat box is a pain in the ass. So is cleaning up their vomit. That's about it. I mean, there's probably other activities that I hate, but those are the things that come up to mind.
I only really technically once had a cat for any real extended amount of time, and it was an indoor-outdoor cat, so we had no litter box. So, but I don't know. Like,
those are good, and again,
that's probably why I don't have a cat. That's probably why. Okay.
I think another thing that pet peeves me of what I hate is when a person edgelords terribly. Like, they get all emotional. It's like, no, the point of an edgelord is you're just laughing at everybody because you're pulling their chain.
What is an edgelord? What is that? Edgelord?
People that try to act edgy and they say all dark, weird, offensive.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, a lot of young people do it. They try to say like deliberately offensive or triggering things, and then they go like, oh, and then they get all upset when somebody gives them shit back.
I'm such a dork. You have to explain some terms to me. Like, for example, like I didn't put it in here, but one of the pictures I thought I should have put it in, but it was actually fan art, and it took me a minute because I didn't realize I only knew what it was because of, like, in the last month I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what fan art meant.
Yeah.
I do now. Okay, so we're at that point in the hour, Christie, where I get to tell you that I've asked you what I've prepped and prepared, and as far as I'm concerned, you're off the spot, and now you get to take a moment and think about something that I don't really care what it is. It can be personal, professional, but you get permission to ask me one question of your choosing, of anything, of any kind. And I can't be blackmailed, so I will probably answer as authentically as possible because, I got nothing.
I would like to know that, you said you had a cat that was indoor, outdoor. Did it follow like your relationships in a way? You know how, like you said, I will do the shortest thing. And I only am saying that to be a gag. It's like, I'm pretty sure you didn't dump the cat or anything like that. I just was joking about it.
Oh, no, I 100%. It's funny you ask that, and actually it's perfect because just recently, like at least twice, and maybe like the last week, I explained to someone that if there is a spirit animal out there to describe me, especially when it comes to dating or relationships, it is 100% a wildcat, particularly like a lioness or whatever cat. I am that cat. I am that bitch. I am that girl. Like here's what I think happens. I think that I don't look like that, right? Like other than the fact that I am 5'10" and my stand-up stage name is the Amazon Beauty because I'm 5'10", you put 4-inch boots on me, I'm going to look like I can kick your ass. I mean, I really am. But
I know what you mean. Yeah.
The hair and the blue eyes and the Irish and the freckles and the sweet girl whatever it will completely confuse someone into thinking that I am a pushover or that I'm the kind of chick that you can come at a certain way.
Yeah.
And I'm so not. I'm so fucking not. I am the lioness who will take out your throat. You know, I'm just that.
Oh,
so
yeah,
anyway,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
no,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
to answer your question about the indoor-outdoor cat and not having a litter box thing, I don't like anything to do with being caged. Personally, as a person, and one of the reasons why the one time I had an actual cat as an actual, like, I wasn't, you can't own a cat, you know those sayings, you're a cat, you have cats, so maybe you've heard them. You can't really own a cat. Like, cats are feral, they're wild, they're technically not house, like, domestic animals. They're, you know what I'm saying?
Owns me. She owns me. I am hers.
Exactly.
Like, she's obsessed with me.
Everything about the way cats are with their human is how I am. And now, and this is unrelated to the cat, but I spent 9 years with my first husband and almost 7 with my second.
Oh, okay.
So part of why in the last 13, 14, however many years it's been since my second divorce, I haven't had a relationship with someone last longer than a significant amount of time, because I have zero interest in that. I have zero interest in spending another decade of my life on some fucking relationship that is not meant for me, not right for me, not real love, not appreciative. The guy, I'm not cherished. I'm not no. I am the unicorn, as my oldest son would say. My oldest son actually sums it up perfectly. He said that me finding anyone, and I think all women out there, any woman out there who hears this needs to hear this. My oldest boy said, me finding someone good enough for me is about as likely as finding a unicorn.
Wow. Okay.
And so I get to, you know, that's, yeah. So I just create, and I remind myself that, you know, that one of my favorite quotes is that Marilyn Monroe quote about, what do I bring to the table? And she says, boy, I bought this table. Yeah. You ever seen that quote?
Yeah, that's funny.
I
haven't seen that one. That's a new one to me.
It's one of my favorites. Or the one from Lady Gaga, where Lady Gaga's talking about the fact that I'm never going to come home and have my career tell me it doesn't love me anymore.
Well, there you go.
Huh?
I said, well, there you go.
Right? Like, that's never going to happen. So, okay, I'll just do what I'm doing and continue doing what I'm doing. So yeah, okay. So that takes care of that. So last thing would be, we do have it in the ticker, but this would basically be the point. I have it in here. Where is it? You want to tell everyone, whoever's watching or watches later, what AASN is, appearances, announcements, what you got going on, what's coming up?
Well, right now, I mean, I'm doing the tarot card deck. We live in a state that's like the most restricted, right? So it's just opening up. So as for cons and stuff, I'm just kind of seeing what happens. But right now at the Hive Gallery and Studios, I'll be part of our Furby show in August, and I am actually curating a show in September called Call of the Siren Femme Revenge, and it's gonna be crazy cool. That's the gallery that I have. It's located in downtown LA. I usually run, and sometimes I do it earlier if I've got other shit I have to do on Saturday. For the Artist Alley shopping network, and I just draw for a couple hours, and I talk to you, like join the group, and then therefore you can see and comment on what I do. I also do lunch hour almost pretty much every day, save for Wednesdays, because I like to take a break, because being online like that, it actually kind of taxes you. And if I'm doing a 2-hour show on Saturday, I kind of want to take the break to just kind of not engage with people. I mean, I can talk to people, it's not that, but doing the show and broadcasting myself does take a bit of energy like that.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, for me, like, the biggest part of the energy sucking vampire fuck this bullshit about going live was figuring out how to do the audio, and now, like, I've been doing mine with like a side-by-side thing going on. I mean, I don't have to have 2 audio things going, but I think I finally figured it out.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I finally figured it out.
It's a process. You have to find the configuration that works for you.
Yeah. Otherwise, I know I've definitely gotten to join you on Saturdays a few times. I usually have my kids on Saturdays, and so I don't always get to. But yeah, other than that, I think we are very, very much done.
Awesome.
I'm so excited that we got to do this. I appreciate your patience and thank you for your understanding back in May when we had to cancel our season 2. Offline between the two of you, we can go there and have that conversation. Much of it you already know, just some of the loss that happened and stuff. But and now it's really exciting to get back at this and get the 5 spotlight shows done for the year, and that would be I'm super stoked. I'm super excited. So thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm going to take us out. I'm going to throw up the video for V, who's going to be on next week. You're more than welcome to sit. Basically, while it's playing right towards the end, as I usually end broadcast, you're more than welcome to sit around and stay in the studio, because I'll be in here until it's done playing. Or you can go. You can hang up after I start the video. You've got things to do.
I had a couple people wanted. I had a couple people that wanted me to put out a couple of fires. I'm like, oh God, all during my show, and all of a sudden I had this issue with my internet, which was hilarious when that just cut out right before we were like, all right, let me get on my phone. So I have to address those. So
yeah. So as soon as I hit, yes, take your leave as soon as I hit play on the video, or even now, you're good to go, because we are done. Thank you to anyone who was watching, and mwah!
It was my pleasure, Dori. I hope to be on again at some point.
Thank you. I hope to have this again and have you on for sure. Bye.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.